What's up guys, Pokémon TCG here and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today guys, I'm going to be reviewing the vlog that I took from the 2024 Indianapolis Pokemon Regional Championships. This was the biggest regional of all time and my first regional event, and I thought it would be cool to do a brand new series on the channel, and that is to make a vlog of bigger tournaments that I go to. And Indy is the first stop on our journey to hopefully becoming a champion of some tournament somewhere. Now, Indianapolis had been on my radar for a little while as a potential prospect to go to when the time came for a regional event, as I've been wanting to go to a regional event for the past probably around 3 years. I just was never able to because I couldn't afford it or it just was a bad time, and I finally got my chance with Indianapolis. Now, I decided to go with my friends from the local card shop, and we decided that we were going to drive. And the drive was around 12 hours, give or take. So here's some highlights from that drive on the way to my first regional championships. Enjoy! Our first stop on the trip was at a gas station to refill, but the reason why I'm stopping this right here is because the gas station was literally just called Shop. I just thought that was interesting. Let's move on. Eventually, we made it to Indianapolis, and after getting checked into our hotel, we made our way to the Indianapolis Convention Center. Now, since it was the day before the tournament started, we needed to get registered and checked in. Once we got there, there was only about 20 minutes left before we were done. So we thought after we got checked in and got our wristbands that we'd look around for a little bit. While my friends were checking out the card shops, I started looking around, hoping to find maybe a celebrity or two. And to my shock, I actually found one within 5 minutes, and that was Little Dark Fury, who is one of my Pokemon TCG heroes, and probably the biggest inspiration for my channel, and making custom cards and custom lists in my decks. So, I was really excited to meet him. He was a super cool guy. I got a picture with him, and we kind of chatted for a couple minutes before they literally started turning off the lights to the venue to try and get people out the doors. So I was able to snag a picture with him, told him good luck for tomorrow, and then we went on our separate ways. But before I even got out the door, we also met another Pokemon TCG celebrity, and it was Real Breaking Nate. And Real Breaking Nate is my favorite Pokemon TCG pack opening channel, and so it was really nice to finally be able to meet him, and we got one of his stickers, which there was only apparently 50 of them. He only had brought 50 of them to the event, and so it was super cool to get one from him, and I also got a picture with him as well. So thanks to both of you guys. Meeting you guys really meant the world to me, and you guys really helped me through either tough times in my life or just helped me become a better player or content creator, and it's super fun to watch you guys. So if you guys haven't checked out LDF or Real Breaking Nate, then please definitely check them out. And this won't be the last time I ran into LDF specifically. I saw LDF probably about 8 times on day 1, which was insane. But that's not all. We will see more Pokemon TCG celebrities as we go along in this vlog. But after all of that, let's head back to the hotel so that way we can get some testing done before the event. I decided to play Charizard EX because it has been my main deck for a pretty long time, even before rotation, and I knew that it was going to be a pretty decent deck going into Indianapolis, especially since it was, at the time of recording this video, the only Tier 0 deck in the format, so I knew I could do well with it, but I needed a custom card, and after a lot of testing, I decided on Delphox V, which basically allows you to have a sort of snipe option, because you do 120 to the active, and you do 120 to a benched Pokemon at the cost of Lost Zoning 2 Fire Energies. And it was sort of my custom card for the deck. If you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know that I like putting custom cards into my decks to kind of give them a sense of individuality, and maybe just find a little niche where it's an unexpected sort of play around something that you're normally used to, and it could be tough for your opponents to respond from that. So Delphox was my card of choice. It did require a couple of list changes over time, but that was okay because I'd been testing this deck for months now, and this testing session that we did the night before really just helped hit home and reassure me that Delphox was the perfect card that I needed in order to feel fully confident and prepared for day one of Indianapolis. We woke up early the next day for day one of the tournament, and when we got there, it was absolutely packed, which was to be expected. But just a little bit after we got there, they posted the round 1 pairings, and I headed to my first match ever in a Pokémon TCG Regional. When I got there, my first round opponent was a deck that I definitely wasn't expecting to see, and that was super effective Lost Zone box, which is almost like it's a horrible matchup for Charizard. And game 1 started in the absolute worst way possible. I started with Bidoof in my starting hand and nothing else. My first turn was Bidoof, attach, pass. And then they had Minior, and then they went Minior, attach to the Minior to send it up into the active spot, and then they attached the super effective glasses to be able to knock out my Bidoof and send it to game 2. Really the stupidest donk possible. I was not super happy about it. I wasn't mad or anything, I just wasn't happy about it. And game 2, I miscalculated an energy because I had made a list change of the 8 energies that I was previously running in the deck to 7 energies, and I had miscalculated how many energies were in my deck, even though I had made like multiple reminders to myself. So I whiffed a really important play, and it really cost me the game, I think. And then they went like super effective glasses, Radiant Greninja on my Delphox, and then they just kind of kept destroying all my Pokemon, even using Shaman and then Roxanne on the same turn later on to knock out my Charizard and put me to 2 cards in my hand, and there's just nothing I could do. So there's just no way to recover, and so I kind of just scooped, realizing that there was no way to get back into the game. And so my first game in a regional ended in a loss, but it was a very valuable loss because it reminded me that there's going to be a lot of crazy unorthodox decks in the tournament, and probably because I chose Charizard, I'm going to have a lot of counterplay, so I should definitely expect that. The round 2 opponent was actually supposed to be a favorable matchup for me, and that was against Future Box, Future Hands. And game 1, I had to discard my Lost Vacuum too early in order to get anything set up before they started just kind of going to town with my single prize Pokemon. And I had to discard the Vacuum a little too early because then I wasn't able to Lost Zone their Heavy Baton, which was just terrible. But it was definitely a misplay on my part. But I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna discard my Lost Vacuum or misuse it in any way possible if I can avoid it. And I used that information for game 2. But game 2 was a little bit easier because I was able to capitalize on my opponent having a 5 energy card hand and nothing else. And so I was just able to keep consistently knocking out Iron Hands and Iron Crowns until I ended up winning pretty easily. And then game 3 was once again the most awful luck, starting Charmander, attach, pass. and then they just were able to go Miraidon, a couple damage buffs, and then boom, that was it. They handed me my second loss of the tournament, which put me at 0-2. Now, my round 2 opponent was super nice. He kind of, we talked a lot during the thing, and people afterward, the group next to us afterwards said that that was probably the most enjoyable match to be next to, because I really vibed with my round 2 opponent. We were talking about school and kind of that sort of stuff. It was really nice to meet him, and I ran into him later in the tournament, and we got to talk more. But I think one of the really cool things that I got out of this experience from Indianapolis is being able to meet some really cool people, and being able to do some from around the country and around the world, really. And all of us kind of being able to relate to one thing, and that's Pokemon. And that's really cool because it allows for me to form friendships in ways that I never thought I would ever that I thought were possible. Now, my round 3 opponent was Double Moon. So, this was the Roaring Moon single prize and Roaring Moon EX. And I was on the chopping block. The rest of the tournament, I'm on the chopping block. If I lose one more game, then I'm out of day 2 contention. I know there's no way of me being able to win the tournament now because my record is too bad. But I just wanted to try and get to day 2, and I was okay if I didn't make it to day 2. And my round 3 opponent was against Double Roaring Moon. Game 1 started with another terrible bout of bad luck. I seriously don't know why the RNG gods of Pokemon decided to just completely screw things up for me. But I prized 3 Charmanders in game 1, but I was able to actually somehow win the game with Pidgeot EX and Defiance Band, helping me set up a crucial prize. And then my opponent started trying to play around that, but they couldn't place down they placed down a Roaring Moon EX. I was able to knock it out with a Charmander, and then after that, there was there was only one play line left for them to go, and that was if they were able to go boss my Pidgeot EX, which had been damaged on a previous turn, and KO it, because there was no way to knock out my active Charizard. So I read the play correctly, and I was able to use Professor Turo's scenario, scoop up the Pidgeot, place down the Pidgey, and then my opponent realized there was no way for them to win, so he scooped, and then we went to game 2. Game 2, I was able to get a crucial Lost Vacuum to be able to KO Roaring Moon EX really early on, and just the way that things set up, I was able to seal the game pretty easily from there. There was just no way for them to get back in the game, because at that point I had 3 attackers ready to go, and they were kind of just on the back burner, and time was running out anyways, so they were just yeah, I can't win this, and so they scooped, and I got my first win of the day. So now I was 1-2 in the tournament, which I was feeling pretty good about that, because it showed me hey, I've got a chance, and it kind of just gave me a ray of hope going into round 4, which was against a matchup that I did not expect. I know I said that at the beginning, but there are a lot of matchups that I got that I really didn't expect that are really unfavorable for Charizard. Round 4 was against Torterra EX, and I was really worried when I saw my opponent flip over Kricketot as their active Pokemon. I immediately knew it was Torterra, and I was really scared of that. But their Kricketot luckily only had 60 HP, and it's a grass type. So on my first turn, instead of going with the normal Cleffa play that most Charizard players will go for if they go second, I instead risked it for the biscuit and went for a Charmander Heat Tackle knockout, doing exactly 60 damage to knock out the Kricketot, and it actually paid off. The rest of the game, my opponent was behind, and they were on the back foot. They got 3 Grottles set up, and so they were just using Sun-Drenched Shell over and over to grab all their Pokemon, and they had a ton of these really cool techs in their deck, all of these different grass type evolutions that help them do different things. But then I revealed my trap card, and they were completely shocked to see Delphox V hit the field and they had at that time they had a Hisuian Lilligant V in the active spot. My guess is that there was just the V to be able to draw until they have 6, and so I decided, let's go ahead and take 3 more prizes with Delphox. And I did that, and they were basically just in complete shock, which was perfect because that's exactly what Delphox is supposed to do. And so my opponent, they saw there was no way to win, and so they scooped, and we went to game 2. So Delphox really put in the work in that game in sort of like unfavorable matchup because grass types are strong against Charizard. Charizard's weak to them, so grass types can one-shot Charizard. But Delphox kind of reverses that a little bit and puts the ball back in your court. Game 2, I set up really nicely. Like, I had one of the most perfect starts ever, and I was just able to keep applying pressure. Every Pokemon that they try to set up, I was just, like, either Prime Catcher or Gust in order to knock it out. And then I even got the Delphox ready to go again, but, at one point they did get their Torterra EX all set up, and I was, like, really scared. I was like, I can't knock this thing out, before I realized that I put Radzard down on the previous turn, and I went ahead and I attached 3 energies to the Radiant Charizard to deal 500 damage to the Torterra and knock it out. And yeah, that was basically it. Round 4 was basically over, and I improved to 2-2 with Delphox definitely being the MVP of the set. Round 5. Well, round 5 was really weird. I went up against a Spidops control deck, which was just one of those, like, really awkward matchups that you never expect to see. Like, I literally had never seen this deck before. I kind of understood how it worked, but, game 1 started off, I misplayed a Turo, and I went a little too aggressive to start, and it just did not, it kind of came back to bite me, and I just couldn't, I needed just one switch out in order to basically seal up the game, but I missed it, and so I took that information and we went to game 2. Game 2, I was in a much better situation. I just kept whittling away their single prize Pokemon until I got a Defiance Band knockout with on a Spidops with Delphox, which was really important. Definitely, I would say Defiance Band was the matchup MVP because it allowed me to hit just a tiny bit more damage on the Spidops. And so I was able to force a game 3. But one thing that really was annoying is that they kept just using hand disruption every single turn. Literally every turn of the game, they either used Judge or Iono, which was absolutely crazy. I was super annoyed because I couldn't set anything up. Luckily, my opponent was super nice. We actually got along really well. And we were just kind of joking around the whole time as we went through, and we were just kind of laughing through it because he would just keep playing Judge or Iono. I'm like, no, not again. Just let me set up, dude. But we kept doing that over and over again until we got to game 3. And we went on the old rules on who had taken the most prize cards, I would have definitely won. But we had to settle for a tie because he was playing a control matchup. He was a little worried that he was going to be, like, that there was no way to get back into the tournament because of this. But I reassured him that a tie, that you can get in this tournament 2 losses and a tie. So we both improved to 2-2-1. So I was okay with it. Definitely wanted to win there. But for the matchup I was up against, it was okay. Round 6 was against the mirror matchup. My poor opponent, I felt so bad for them because they said that they had faced 4 Charizard mirrors beforehand and that they really didn't want to face any more Charizards. So, of course, they were really not happy when I flipped over a Cleffa and was like, you're facing Charizard again. So, game 1, the RNG gods decided to leave me be and instead plague them by making them prize 3 Charmanders. And so I just kept knocking them out over and over again as knocking out the Charmander over and over again as it tried to set up. And eventually my opponent, it got down to like the wire, but my opponent they whiffed a knockout on one turn, and I was just able to kind of capitalize off of that and just win pretty easily after that. And then game 2, we set up. and I started with Luminion. And I was super worried. I was like, okay, you probably have this game in the bag. I don't really see how I win this because I had no other Pokemon search. It was just all horrible. And they're like, I guarantee you have a better start than me. And I'm like, what's worse than Luminion Attach Pass? Well, dear viewers, the answer was Cleffa Pass. They couldn't do anything with their hand. They just had a 30 HP Cleffa in the active spot. And I top decked an Ultra Ball. So I could go Ultra Ball for a Charmander with the Heat Tackle, and then attach, retreat, and then Heat Tackle to knock him out. And then I ended their tournament run for their hopes and dreams of day 2 with a Heat Tackle. I felt so bad. I was like apologizing. I was like, I'm so sorry. That is not how that's supposed to go. And she's like, it's just the luck of the cards. I got really unlucky. And so I was able to take that win. And we were still in it. I was still in it with a 3-2-1 record. I was hoping I could continue playing because I needed to just keep on winning. Otherwise, I was done. But unfortunately for me, fate would not have it that way. And round 7, I was paired against Giratina, which was super annoying because Giratina is a horrible matchup for Charizard. However, the Delphox really did kind of make it a little bit more manageable, and I'll explain why. So game 1, I was almost able to turn it around after a really slow start. My opponent just kind of had everything, and I had basically nothing, but it got down to like 1 prize card left, and I just saw it was impossible to win after they knocked out my Charizard with the they had still Iron Leaves, and they had Star Requiem left, and I knew that there was just no way for me to win with any Charizards, and also I just didn't have the Radzard play in time, so I scooped to save time. Game 2, I had a questionable start, but Delphox made a real difference. Delphox really allowed me to kind of come back into the prize trade, knocking out 2 of their Pokemon, their single prize Pokemon, really kind of put me back on the map, and I was ready to win the game, but then they rock sand me out of my final energy that I needed to win the game, and then they were able to just go ahead and knock out my Charizard, and that was really it. That was the end of the run for day 2. I was going to keep playing regardless, just because, why not, but it wasn't great. But then my round 8 opponent was against Esperanza EX, which is another horrible Charizard matchup. I've had 4 bad Charizard matchups so far. Game 1, I went, it was really good for me. I had Delphox, I destroyed their board, and then so they scooped, they were like, what the heck, this Delphox is crazy. Game 2, they benched a Manaphy, so that way I couldn't Delphox, and I was a little sad by that. And they just kept item locking me with Banette, and there was just no way for me to hit a counterplay off. So I had to scoop with that. And then game 3, I whiffed the final knockout because I whiffed the final rare candy that I needed to win. And so I took the loss. I was like, okay, I'll brush myself off. I was 3-4-1 at this point, so I was just kind of like, eh. At this point, we're just kind of going and just having a good time, just kind of getting to know our opponents and having a good time. That was really it. I just kept telling myself, you're here to have a good time. You're here to have a good time. And then round 9 was against the mirror matchup. Game 1, I started with, like, I think Charmander, Rotom, Charmander, and Pidgey. That was, like, bare minimum. I had to use a ton of resources to even get there. And they were just able to outpace me the entire time. Game 2, I applied pressure, too much pressure. I got the kind of 3 attacker setup again. Delphox was ready to go, and then they scooped. And then game 3, Delphox started off strong with 2 Charmanders on the KO, but then they got rid of my Pidgeot, and then I whiffed the Professor Churros in order to win. So it's just a ton of, like, whiffing the final card that I needed in order to win the game and keep me in the tournament. But I was really, at that point, I was okay with where I was at. And so, yeah, I ended with a 3-5-1 record. Day 2, we'll get to in a minute, but I was really pretty happy with what I had. But in between rounds 3 and 4, I was just wandering around the venue before I saw in the corner of my eye, in the very corner of the venue, was like by the stages where you guys see all the match games and whatever. I saw Frosted Caribou doing a sort of interview or something, and I was super interested. So I walked over, and sure enough, there were like 2 people in line, and there was a sign on the ground, a little whiteboard on the ground, that said, "Come answer a quick interview question." And I was like, oh my gosh, I could actually get on stream if I answer this interview question. So I got in line, I put my Charizard EX and my Delphox V in my pocket, just in case it was something that was related to Delphox. And when I got up there, I said hi to Caribou and asked her, "Hey, what's the interview question?" She said, "The question is, what beats Charizard EX?" And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And then the guy behind the camera kind of explained, here's what you're going to do. We're going to roll in 3, 2, 1. And then I gave my interview, and it was kind of just, I said, like, this is my first tournament, and I'm playing Charizard myself. So what helps in the mirror matchup is Delphox, because you can apply a different kind of pressure. It's an unexpected tech card, and it's a really good sort of counter option to Charizard. And my family was going nuts. They were watching the stream because I told them I might have had a chance to get on stream at some point just because of a different interview that I was thinking about. And so immediately after I was done with that, I was like super pumped. I started heading to round 4, and I texted my family, said, "Hey, just watch out for me on stream potentially." And sure enough, around round 6, I think, they texted me back saying that I was actually on stream, and I saw that I did make it on stream in that little segment. So that was super cool. But after that, I was kind of not sure what to do. After all of that, I kind of just looked around for a little bit, and I even got some celebrity signatures on my playmat, and I got some more pictures with celebrities, so I'll show those now on screen. But it was super cool, and I headed back to the hotel out of the tournament, but feeling really, really satisfied with my performance and with my appearance on stream, which was just super exciting. Day 2 was way shorter because we decided we were going to head home early. At first, I wanted to do a cup playing my Goodra Banette deck, which was feeling super good, and I definitely would have played that to the tournament if I had more time to test it. But we went there, and I decided, hey, I'm going to save money. This is costing me a lot of money here anyways. And so I decided, let's just not do a side event. And instead, I kind of just did some more celebrity hunting. I was able to find Azul GG, Chip Ritchie, and a couple others. I was able to find Frosted Caribou again, and I got her signature in a picture with her, which was very nice. Or no, I didn't get a picture with her, but I got her signature, and I was just getting everyone's signatures. And then I also ran into Sneaker Talk TCG, who is the main inspiration for me doing vlogs. In fact, I was watching one of his vlogs before I got to the event, and super chill guy. It was really nice meeting him. We had a quick conversation about what was going on, how we were doing, and he told me that he was more than happy to kind of help give me feedback and stuff on this vlog. So if you're watching this, Sneaker Talk, I really appreciate it. It was super nice meeting you, and if you've got any feedback for me, I would greatly appreciate it, because I'd love to do this again, and I'd really hope to see you in the future. But it was super nice meeting all these celebrities, and so we decided after that, we looked around a little bit longer, we watched the seniors finals, and then we decided that we were going to pack up and head home. And we just decided this time, let's just power all the way through, and we drove for 12 hours straight all the way back. And yeah, that was the conclusion to my Indianapolis Regional event. I know that was kind of less of a vlog towards the end and more of kind of just a tournament report at that point. But I think it was really cool. I got to meet some incredible people who I've been watching for years, especially like the likes of Andrew Mahone, and I got to meet Jake Gearhart, which was great because I've been talking with Jake, and we've been friends on Twitter for a pretty long time, so it was really nice to meet him, and I got to meet both members of the Uncommon Energy podcast. Just a ton of really cool people who I would never be able to meet otherwise, and so I was able to just say thank you to them for the stuff that they do, and I definitely would recommend supporting each one of them for the stuff that they do, or just being awesome players. So yeah, that's going to wrap up my Indianapolis Regionals vlog and tournament report. I do plan to do a video on Charizard with Delphox in the near future. It might not be right away because I'm trying to take a break from that deck after playing it so many times recently. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, God bless, have fun, we'll see you out there, and we'll see you hopefully at the next regional event. Thanks for watching.